Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining and spending your lunch with us. I'm Sal Shen with Merit Wealth Advisors. I'm one of the co-founders here. As we end October, which is Cybersecurity Month, we have the pleasure of having Officer Holland from the Maitland Police Department here with us on a topic that is becoming more and more critical um, as far as scams goes. You probably get phone calls, texts, emails, and the presentation is wonderful. It's going to provide you the ability to at least understand and kind of get a thumbs up at least on what to do and what not to do. Okay. Um, Let me see here. We have a bunch of folks here. Um, let me get started. So let me take a moment and kind of share with those who are not clients on who we are. So we are financial planners. We are holistic financial planners helping those and business owners with their financial lives. Our goal and our objective in working with our clients is to help them bring clarity to their financial lives, give them the comfort to know that either they will be okay or they're on the track to be okay, and the confidence that they have a path to go on. So that's what we do here, and we're located here in Maitland, Florida. I know there's some folks here that may be all from all parts of the country. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to Officer Holland with the Maitland Police Department. And I am going to pass over the host to you.
Unmute. All right, I unmuted. Can everyone hear me? Am I coming in clear?
Hold on a minute.
Yep.
No.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Okay. When you go ahead and share your screen, and it's yours.
Okay, not a problem. Can you go ahead and share the screens up here, or oh, this is disabled. 1 second here. Yep. It's been a while since I've done a Zoom meeting, which is a good thing, right? Because I'm able to do these in person. But I really appreciate you guys having me out to discuss this topic while everything's getting set up. These scams, in my opinion, are some of the easiest things that you could do to protect yourself. It's one of the few things that you could do to prevent these crimes from happening. At the end of the day, there's only so much you can do to protect your car, protect your home. If someone really wants to break into your house, they usually will find a way. Well, that's extremely rare. But with these different types of fraud, just not answering the telephone and just not clicking on links can prevent the vast majority of it. This is my presentation here, and I have it titled 21st Century Con Artists. The reason why is because these people are no different than the con artists of yesteryear that were going door to door selling snake oil and so forth. It's just they've now transitioned from having to do their crimes in person to doing it using the internet and using technology. All right. So let me go on to the next slide here. A quick disclaimer. There is no such thing as a perfect way of keeping yourself safe. If you're aware of one that works 100% of the time, please let me know. I would like to know too. What I'm going to present in this presentation are just best practices based as of 12:05 on October 30th, 2024. If I come back and give this presentation even tomorrow, or let alone a year or two from now, Technology is always changing. It's always adapting, and these criminals are always adapting. So that's one of the things that I'll go over, is staying on top of what the current crime trends are. So my goals, objectives with this presentation are pretty simple. I want to improve. First, I want to teach you how these con artists work. I want to teach you the process and the flow, and really simplify it, because again, with the technology, for a lot of people, it could seem overwhelming, but really the flow of the crime is pretty simple in the way it works. It's just they're using technology. I want to show you some techniques to reduce your chances of becoming a victim. And then finally, I want to demonstrate what to do if or when you are contacted by a modern day con artist. And in fact, about an hour before I came here, I was contacted on my personal phone by a scammer pretending to be someone. So it is not really, I almost want to take out the if and just say when you are contacted. Because at this point, I think everyone's been contacted, right? A little bit about me, I'm going to briefly go over. I was a deputy sheriff with our Orange County Sheriff's Office from 2013 to 2017. I did some time on patrol, but most of my time I was a bird, if you remember bird, except I was actually had a badge and a gun. I was a full-blown deputy sheriff, but I was part of court security, keeping the judges and the people there safe. Since 2017, I've been with the Maitland Police Department. And until 2020, I was with patrol, and now I'm assigned to our community policing unit. So my job is full-time, is to go and give presentations like this, to provide security surveys to our residents who live within the city. A little bit about my formal education is I have my bachelor's science degree in criminology and political science. I also am a Florida crime prevention practitioner and a crime prevention through environmental design practitioner through the state of Florida. CPTED's an interesting, crime prevention through environmental design, CPTED. It's an interesting concept. It's the idea of the built environment, that the proper use and design of the built environment could reduce or can reduce the chances of crime occurring. I love that. I can give a whole presentation on just CPTED. And then finally, I'm also, through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, I'm a certified field training officer and a general instructor. So I could teach the greenhorns and I could teach the salty vets. One request before I get started here. This is a very information-dense presentation. Please hold your questions, comments, and stories until the end. I believe the chat feature is up and running. So if you want to, and I believe Mr. Shen is monitoring it, and that at the end we'll answer any of your questions. However, if you don't understand something I said, please feel free to ask me to clarify during the presentation, again, using that chat feature. Go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry, let me jump in there for a minute.
Yeah, no
I'm sorry, I missed the housekeeping. You should have a Q&A button on your Zoom screen. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please put it in the Q&A. If there's something you need clarification on, put that into the Q&A as well. I will be monitoring that, and I will go ahead and break into the presentation and get clarification for you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shen. Again, I tried to simplify all this information as much as I could. As you can tell by my education, I don't have a computer science degree. So I am also just barely grabbing on to the understanding of some of these technologies and so forth. And I tried to make it as simple as possible. But if you need clarification, feel free to ask. All right. So let's first go over how, again, I want to explain how exactly these con artists work, explain some things to protect yourself and some red flags. First, let's talk about who they are. These are just criminals like any other con artist. They're attempting to convince you to hand over money, information, or property. They'll tell different lies, stories. They'll have fake websites. They'll have a whole bunch of different techniques to try and convince you that they are legitimate. Whatever they are, they're Amazon, they're trying to sell you something, so forth. Again, they use technology to accomplish their crimes. Like I said in the beginning, with technology, they can target thousands of people at once in a very short period of time, where to do a con of someone or something back in the day, before technology or before this information technology, the internet, they would have to go see people in person. So they could maybe only do 100 people a day, as opposed to now with auto dialers and auto email programs, they can hit thousands of people in a matter of minutes or hours. Most, unfortunately, are located in foreign countries where enforcement is difficult. Unfortunately, these criminals will target citizens of the United States because most of us have a lot of money. Not most of us, but some of us have a lot of money. And so they are located in these foreign countries where its enforcement is almost non-existent, or they're in countries where we don't have extradition treaties. So even if we were able to identify who these people were, we couldn't then use Interpol or their law enforcement agencies to get them. So what are they doing? What are they trying to do? The vast, vast, vast majority of these people are just trying to obtain your money. That's all they're trying to do. And we'll go over some of these things in specifics. But again, I have some ways that they try and do it, which is mailing cash. So I'm literally talking about putting cash in an envelope or in a box and sending it to them. Wire transfers, gift cards. Oh my goodness, gift cards. Gift cards, they will try and get you to pay in gift cards. And the wire transfers are two of the hugest ones. Sometimes they'll actually try and get access to your bank accounts or other financial institutions, credit cards, or they'll try and open up credit or other loans in your name, or they'll have you sign over property, which is extremely rare. That does happen, but it's exceedingly rare. It is very, very rare. Most of the time, they just want money. That's all they want. There are some that want to try and obtain your information. So they'll try and obtain your personal information, your date of birth, social security, address, in order to open up those financial accounts in your name. Some will also try and obtain embarrassing information used to blackmail you too. Again, very, very rare, but it does happen. And finally, the most rare occurrence of them all is they're just trying to obtain some other source of information, either because you work in a highly competitive or highly sensitive field, such as a government, you work for a biomedical company, and you have access to secrets like that, or another big business where you have access to this sensitive information, or they're trying to obtain information about not you, but maybe a family member, coworker, friend, someone that you have contact with that they would like to compromise and get their information. That is extremely rare. I am not familiar professionally of it happening in the city limits of Maitland, at least reported to us, the police department. But I have heard of people using, trying to get through, let's say someone's son or daughter is an executive at a big business. They'll try and go through the parents to get to them. Very, very rare, but it does happen. Again, most of the time, they're just trying to give them cash. So why are they contacting you? Most of the time, it is completely random. Again, they're just playing a numbers game. If they could get one person to hand over $3,000 every day, that's a pretty good paycheck, right? They're just looking for one person. They usually obtain your contact information through public databases that you or I could just pay money and get a whole bunch of emails, phone numbers, and names. There are those databases out there. A lot of times it's also from data breaches. I'm sure we've heard about one of the big three credit reporting agencies, which the name always escapes me. I don't want to slanderize anyone if one of them would be incorrect, but one of them had a big giant data breach. And then it could be also just small data breaches, small websites that have names and all they have is just names and email addresses. It could be, and then the scammers will use that information and plug it into different websites, which we'll go over in a minute. And like I said, just information collection databases like LexisNexis. If anyone remembers, I have here, I think, yep, you can see my cursor here. If you remember going into the sports bars, especially about 10, 20 years ago, and they have the fishbowl that you put your business card in, and you could win lunch. Well, all that was just it wasn't a scam, but all that was a lot of times people just looking to get people's contact information to then sell them things, right? So my dad actually, he was a salesman for Hewlett Packard as a goof back in the 70s and 80s. He would put his coworkers and friends' business cards in there because he knew that they would get an email or a phone call from them as a joke. Don't do that now, though. So they also use systems like auto dialers and auto emailers and fake websites, where especially the auto dialer, it is just brute force. They're just 407 123 4567, and then and then they just goes through and spam dials all these different phone numbers. Or the scammers can input a list that they obtained into these auto dialers, and then it just auto dials that phone number here. Some also create fake websites, which we'll go over in a minute, where it looks like Wells Fargo at first glance, but really it's a fake website. And they specifically target older people. The reason why they do this is that they believe that they're not as familiar with technology and that they're easy targets. I don't use the term evil lightly. I believe that the vast majority of people I've ever arrested were not evil. The vast majority were not evil. They just made a mistake. They just got too drunk. They let their emotions get the better of them, and they made a mistake. I believe that these people who especially target the elderly, are evil because they think that the elderly are easy targets. And so they target them specifically because a lot of times older people have more free time and more money. You've built this big nest egg. They realize that. And so you're retired living off of your hard work, this big nest egg. And so they want to get a piece of that. And they also believe that older people are not as familiar with technology, which sometimes can be the case, but it's not always the case. And so that's why they specifically target older people. One thing that I've noticed that if I sometimes which I suggest you don't, I don't pick up the phone anymore unless I know the phone number, which we'll go over in a minute. But I remember where I'd pick up the phone and I'd talk to someone, and it was clearly one of these scammers, and they would just almost immediately hang up. And it's my theory, I don't know, obviously, because I didn't call them back and ask, why did you hang up on me? That they heard the timbre of my voice, and that they heard that I, as of now, do not have an older timbre to my voice. So I do not generally, at least I don't think so, sound like an older person. So it's my theory that they just hang up on me because, okay, this person's a young person, they're not going to fall for a click. That's what they believe. Like I said, the people that you're dealing with, these people, in my opinion, are evil. And you should be very, very careful if you do deal with them. But I'm going to teach you some techniques on how to. All right. So it is, again, this, even though they use technology, to reiterate, it is just a simple process. How these scams work. They first contact you, and then they provide some sort of story or provide some sort of fake website to try and convince you that they're legitimate. And then they acquire whatever it is they're trying to acquire. Most of the time it's money or information. So let's first, in terms of how they do it, let's go over contact. Like I said, most of the time it's completely random. When these people contact completely random phone numbers or completely random email addresses, referred to as phishing. If you notice the spelling here, it's P-H-I-S-H, right? Phishing. This is the most common. They're not looking to target someone specific. They're just looking to target as many people as possible and hoping that they get a bite, like you're phishing. This is the most common. There is the flip side to that, which is spear phishing. That is when the scammer is specifically targeting you, a specific individual. Not necessarily they're targeting all Wells Fargo customers, but they're targeting John Smith, the Wells Fargo customer. That's least common, but it can happen from time to time. So most of the time, a lot of times they're gonna contact you in various ways too. So they'll contact you via just a random auto dialers. You might get contacted if you put in the wrong internet address, so the wrong website. If you misspell a website, that can happen from time to time. And then there'll be a fake pop-up that'll pop and say, oh, you've been hacked. You need to call this phone number, which we'll go over in a minute. And then sometimes it's just a complete random text message with just a random link. This is from my phone. I took a screenshot of this. I forgot how long ago, and I put it in the slide because again, they're just phishing. They're looking for someone to click on that link. So they send this out to millions, it's probably millions or at least thousands of people, just hoping that one or two people click on that link and then either download software or get wrapped up in their scam. They'll try and convince you. This is sometimes, which is the next step. So after they contact you, they'll try and convince you of something. This is called social engineering. So they're going to provide a convincing story in order to have the victim provide whatever it is, the money, access to information, or accounts. And so they might try and say that they're PayPal. Look at this. This is a fake PayPal website, but that looks pretty legitimate, right? Again, you might get an email or a text message that looks legitimate. This is again off of my phone. I got this text message, and it says, "Hey, your account restricted. Secure your account here." Again, all they're doing is just hoping that someone clicks on that link. Or right here, they will try and convince you that they're maybe a family member. And there's many, many, many stories. This used to be a common one. It hasn't. We don't get it too often now. But the scammers here, if you look at this email right here, what they'll do is that they'll go if they have compromised or hacked someone's email account. They'll send out an email like this, the subject "help" to all the person's contacts on that email account. And they'll tell you a story that I was traveling, like this one here is I was traveling somewhere in London and I lost everything. Could you, I need 1,500, let me go back. I need 1,500 pounds if you could wire that to me. And so again, it's a scam, but this used to be fairly common. It's not as common as it is now. Again, so they'll contact you and convince you. And then they are going to tell you all sorts of stories. And this is not an exhaustive list of the ways they're going to try and convince you to hand over your information or money. Shutting off services. When I was on patrol, I remember a case when a young attorney, he was in his 30s or 40s, he was going through some sort of, I don't remember exactly, but he was going through some sort of stressful situation at work. And a scammer contacted him posing as Duke Energy. And they said in the phone call or text or email, I don't remember exactly how, that if you don't pay $500 in Visa gift cards to us, we're going to shut off your power in the next 3 hours. And so he was super stressed out. He wasn't thinking clearly, and he actually handed over the $500 in Visa gift cards. But again, it's shutting off services. They could pose as the power company, water, any sort of service like that. You have a warrant. That's another common one where they call or they contact and say, "Hey, you have a warrant for your arrest, but you could clear up this warrant if you pay us $200 in Bitcoin," or whatever it is. Just to let you in on some inside baseball, some secret knowledge. If you have a warrant for your arrest, the only time you'll probably ever know is when you get the knock on the door and you're having handcuffs put on you. Where law enforcement is not going to call you and go, "Hey, you have a warrant. We're going to come and scoop you up right now." And especially, we're not going to call you and then ask for money to clear up the warrant. The only way you get a warrant cleared up, at least in the state of Florida, and I'm almost 100% sure this is the case across the country, is you got to go before a judge. The judge has to clear up the warrant, either revoke the warrant, or you have to go in front of that initial appearance and be told what you're being charged with as a result of that warrant. So you can't just pay a certain amount of money to someone and not see a judge to have a warrant cleared up, if that's the case. But that's a very common one. Your computer has been hacked. Tech support. That's again, look at these somewhat convincing right here, these convincing pop-ups, which they'll have on websites like, "Oh my God, look, you've gotten a virus. I need to call this phone number right here for a technical department." And then that's when they try and convince you that you need to hand over money to have the virus removed. Your information identity is being used by a criminal. Again, they'll try and call you, and they might say that they're with a law enforcement agency, the CIA. Actually, to tell a personal story, my aunt, she was wrapped up with scammers for a month, and she actually gave $40,000 to these scammers because they said that they were the CIA and that someone was using her information for money laundering, and that they needed her to transfer money to this to wire money to this account in order to try and track who these money launderers are. They did a whole bunch of other stuff too, which I might get into further in the presentation. But it's a very, very common scam where people want to verify your identity, or someone, a criminal, the customs is contacting you because someone shipped a box that was full of drugs that was addressed to you, and so you need to pay the money to get rid of it or whatever it is they're going to do. Well, that's a very common scam, unfortunately. Side note on that, she actually was able to get her money, most of that money back, luckily, but that's not always the case. A family member needs help. Already went over this. One thing to be on the lookout though with technology, that's why it's important to stay on top of this stuff as best as you can, is now technology has gotten so good with artificial intelligence and just how powerful computers are now, or it used to be in order to quote unquote duplicate someone's voice using computers, they needed minutes and minutes, if not hours, of recorded audio of that person. They've gotten it down where they can do a pretty convincing, it's not 100%, but a good enough replication of someone's voice in a computer using AI to just seconds. And so there's a common scam where someone calls up and they use one of these voice manipulations, or they might even have a voice recording of your family member, and they pretend to be your family member. They pretend to be, they need money, they got arrested, they're being held hostage, and so forth. You overpaid for something and you need to they need to refund you. That is a very common one where you just get randomly called and they'll say, hey, remember you signing up for this service? Well, we're closing down and we need to refund you the money. That's very, very common. They're a charity. Like I said, these people are evil. So they'll pretend to be charities looking for donations when they're not really. That's why it's important before you donate to any charity to do your research to make sure they're legitimate. You won a prize. That's another super common one, or used to be rather. How many of you have won the Nigerian lottery? It's like, how many of us have, right? I have, I think we all have. That's a very, very common one where they say, hey, you won this prize, but in order to get this prize, you need to pay this fee of $3,000 to get your $3.2 million from the Nigerian lottery or whatever it is. But hey, you need to wire transfer these $3,000 to this account before you get your money. Verify purchase. For the past year, I was consistently getting a text message from quote unquote Amazon saying that, hey, we need a verified purchase of your iPhone 4S or 14. We need to verify that purchase. And all they're doing is they're looking for you to call and say, oh my God, I didn't buy this. Can you please take it off my account? Like, yes, we can. Let me get that account information from you. Again, they're just looking to get that information. Jury duty. Like the Swallows returning to Capistrano, every single year we get people who call in and unfortunately fall for the scam where they claim to be the clerk of the courts or the sheriff's office or some other agency, and that you missed jury duty and you've been fined or you're going to go to jail and you got to pay this fine. That will never, ever happen. I suggest you check out the Orange County Clerk of Courts office has a great little website about this scam. But every single year, without fail, someone tries to pull that scam off. And finally, this one is very common. You're the love of their life. Again, targeting elderly people specifically because they realize that a lot of elderly people, unfortunately, are widows or widowers. And so that they might be lonely. I believe, I don't have any statistics to back this up, but it's just a hunch, I believe this, the love of your life scam is probably one of the most underreported scams there is, because could be pretty embarrassing for people. That it's like, man, I can't believe I paid $3,000 for what I thought were plane tickets for the love of my life to fly from Thailand to the United States, and she never flew. She never came over and visited me. I can't believe I did that. And so I don't think a lot of people report that, but it is very, very common. And actually now they're getting to the point of sophistication where they're actually having young men and young women who are in these essentially scam call centers that do FaceTime. They actually talk to you on the phone as opposed to just email or text message. So you could be like, man, I talked to her. I saw her on FaceTime. Like, oh my, like she's an actual person. She's not just, you know, a fake Facebook web page. And so they're actually getting more sophisticated, unfortunately. One thing that they'll also do, which God forbid, do not let someone have remote access to your computer unless you 100% trust them, is that a lot of times they will call and say that they are your computer's been hacked, or that they're IT service, and then we need to look in your computer, so we need to have remote access to your computer. And so what they'll do is they will have you run a couple different programs that look like they're super crazy internet or computer programs that are running software, when it's actually they're not doing that at all. And I'm going to need some help if you could help me switch to my camera. I'm gonna have them show it on my laptop right here. If you could switch. So I want to show you what these look like. So let's see if we can do that. All right, can everyone all right, you know what we can do? That's okay. Let's do it on this computer. If you could do the screen share here, if I can switch. Improvise, adapt, overcome. So we're going to share with this one. Okay. Everyone can see my mouse, see my cursor. All right. What they'll have you do is they'll have you go to the command prompt here. So I go to command prompt. Drag it over. So they'll have you open up this. It's called the command prompt. And they'll have you run something. One of the big ones they'll have you run is dir/s. And watch this. This is pretty crazy looking, right? You look at this. It's, oh my God, it's running some sort of big complicated scam. When actually all this is it's listing out every single place on the computer where a file is located. That's all it is. Oh, that's all it's doing. It is just listing out that. And what they do is that while this is running, they will type into their keyboard a message, so that when this is done listing out, all it is just listing out where every single bit of information is located on this computer. And then when it's done running, there'll be a message at the end. But the message is something they've typed. It's not an actual message. So let's see here. And then I wanted to use my computer because my computer is not as large as the computer I'm using right now, my work computer. But they'll use that. Again, look how crazy this is looking. It looks like it's running some sort of big, crazy scan. But again, all it is just a directory. It's just listing out where everything is. It's not scanning your computer for anything. But if you don't know what that looks like, that's what a lot of people think. Which we're going to have that run in the background here, because I want you to show it. Another thing, let me go back to the PowerPoint here. All right. So another thing that they'll also have you do while that's running is they will also do what's called web page manipulation, which I wanted to show you now. So they'll do things like, if again, God forbid, you give them access to your computer, they'll have you log into your bank account, and that they'll manipulate the amount that's in your bank account. At least it'll look like they did, but in actuality they did not, which I'll show you how they do that now. And what they do is they'll say, hey, we want to refund you your money. We'll refund. We want to refund $600 to you. So I'm going to put in $600 in your account. Well, what they do is they manipulate through what I'm going to show you. They manipulate that account to make it look like they refunded $6,000. They go, oh my God, I made this huge mistake. It said 600. I must have hit an extra zero. But can you wire me or pay me through Amazon gift cards $5,400, right? Even though in actuality, no money was changing hands. So who wants to be? Let's see. I'm going to make. Let's see. I'm going to make Mr. Shen the police chief of Maitland. So let's go to the Maitland Police Department website. So this is our website, maitlandpd.org. There's chief right there. There's our 2 new officers getting sworn in. So there's this feature on most web pages and most web browsers where if you highlight text, so let me highlight it, and you right click, the whole thing comes up and you can copy and so forth. But then this at the bottom right here, inspect. So they'll open that up, click on that, and then this crazy screen pops up. So again, like I said, I'm not a computer science. I don't have a computer science degree and I don't play one on TV. So I am, but my understanding of the reason why this exists is so that web developers can test edit web pages without actually doing it. They could just make an edit, see if they like it, and see if it works without it actually going on the live web page and someone actually looking at the edited. So what they'll do is they'll go on the amount of money in your bank account, and then they'll do something like this. Like I said, they will. Let's see. Oh, it's not wanting me to do it. Come on now, you were doing it before. Oh, come on. They're a lot better at it than I am. I'm not evil like the there you go. I'm not evil like the scammers here. So let's see, Mr. Sol. Sorry if I misspell your name. Shen. Mr. Shen. Boom. Look at that. So if you look at this, that looks like it's pretty convincing, right? Police chief. So that looks pretty convincing. But actually, if you just hit the refresh button here, boop, goes back to normal. So it didn't manipulate the website. If someone had logged on to the Maitland Police Department website, even as that was up, where it said that Mr. Shen was the police chief, they would not see that. But again, they use that to pretend like they over-refunded something into your bank account, where they'll just highlight your number, they'll go inspect element. While you're not looking, they'll usually turn off your screen, the screen sharing, and they'll make it seem like they over-refunded you. Let's see what happened here. Boom. Okay, let's check back in with the command prompt. So it got done, and then look, oh my God, you've been hacked. Oh my goodness gracious. We're all, again, keep in mind with the command prompt, all they did was just type that in. Finally, what I want to show you is something else they might run. Is something called a netstat. And what it is that this is listing, I'm not going to have it run the whole time here, but all it is just listing the IP address, which is tied to specific electronics that are on your network. That's my understanding of it, again, of what this is doing. But if you look, it says foreign addresses here. And so what they'll do is they'll have you run this. They're like, oh my God, look at all these different foreign addresses here. China is on your computer. But that's not actually what that means. It's just it's a different phrase. It's saying that these are different computers that are on your network that aren't in the actual physical computer itself. So that's not, foreign address is not referring to a different country. It's referring to something that is outside of the network. Again, from my understanding of it. Again, that's just a pretty common way of, hold on, let me go back here. If I go back to Zoom, I could, oh, where did Zoom go? Hold on 1 second. I need a little IT help. I go back to, no. Sorry about that, 1 second. Yeah, go ahead. I'm an idiot. Sorry, like I said, it's been a while since I've done a Zoom meeting. Sorry about that. That was my fault. All right, back to my PowerPoint presentation here. Okay, so that is, again, a way of that they'll try and convince you that they're legitimate here. So after they convince you of, they try and convince you of their legitimacy, they will then try and acquire whatever it is that they're looking for. Again, the majority of the time that's money or information. And they'll do that through two ways, where most of the time it's the victim acts, right? It's the victim that provides the con artist with the money or the information. So that's by mailing money, that's by transferring money, wire transfers, providing gift card numbers, and so forth. And then rarely is it the criminal act. So it's the con artist that actually extracts the money from the victim, or and so forth. That is pretty rare, but it does happen where they actually gain access to your bank account and then withdraw the funds and so forth. Most of the time, they will, again, convince you, and then they will they will convince you, and they will have you hand over whatever it is that they're doing, or whatever it is that they want. So now I want to spend. Okay. Are we still good? Can you still see my presentation here? Should be good. Okay. So the next thing I want to go over is red flags. So the more red flags you see, the higher likelihood that you're dealing with a con artist. There are some red flags that should immediately indicate you're dealing with a con artist. For instance, gift cards, which I'll go over in a minute. If someone's asking you to pay in gift cards, they're probably a con artist. However, just because someone has multiple red flags doesn't mean necessarily that they're con artists. But I'm going to teach you, I want to try and teach you some ways to help protect yourself. The biggest thing is that if you observe multiple red flags, use extreme caution. Be very, very careful with what information and what you tell this person, what you allow this person to do, and independently verify their claims. So that's the biggest thing, is that you need to independently verify their claims, whatever it is that they're claiming to be. And again, you use the information that you obtained independently, or that that's like on the back of your credit card if they're claiming to be Visa. So let's go over some of those red flags now. We still there? All right, looks like we're still there. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen here. All right, so hopefully we're all good to go. But again, I just assume any sort of unsolicited contact is a scam until proven otherwise. I'll go over what you should do in terms of setting up your email and telephone number. I wish we didn't live in that world, but unfortunately, that's just the times that we're in right now. They need your information or access to something you have, especially if it's unsolicited, and they call and they go, "Hey, listen, we need this is so-and-so from tech support. We need your telephone number, or we need your date of birth and your email address, and so forth, your bank account." If they need something from you, be very, very, very hesitant to give that information to them until you independently verify what they said, especially financial information and access to your computer or your accounts. You should be very, very careful on who you allow that. Payment methods. While there are legitimate uses for some of these things, be very, very, very cautious if someone's asking you to pay in gift cards. Just think about it. If any of you are or were business owners, does it make sense that Target would want to be paid in Walmart gift cards? No, that's true for all businesses. Most businesses want cold hard cash. That's what they want, right? They don't want Google Play gift cards or Target gift cards. They want cash. Mailing money, again, that's a very common one where they'll actually have people take a book like the phone book or a Bible or a big book, and they'll have you put the cash every other page and then mail that. Again, trying to thwart authorities because there are laws on, which I don't know the amounts right off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up, but there are laws on the amount of cash that you can put in the mail. Mobile payment apps, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle. Those are very commonly used with scammers, but there are legitimate uses for it, right? I've pay friends, if we're out to dinner, I'll use Venmo and I'll Venmo them half of the check for dinner, or I go to a food truck and I will pay using Venmo or Zelle. And I use PayPal a lot online, especially to make purchases, just to add another level of security. In case that company that I'm using or the company I'm purchasing from is hacked, they just have the PayPal information, which means that they won't directly have my bank account information. But you'd be very, very cautious because the problem, especially with things like Venmo or Cash App or Zelle, is that once that money is transferred, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to get that money back. Another one common is cryptocurrency. I'm sure in the future, I'm not sure, but I'm willing to bet that in the future, cryptocurrency will become a larger part of the financial universe, and that we will be maybe using cryptocurrency to buy things online at legitimate businesses. And maybe one day you will go to Target in your self-driving car and pay for your food at Target or Walmart with cryptocurrency. However, we're not there yet. A lot of scammers use cryptocurrency. So things like Bitcoin, Ethereum are the two big ones. There's some Dogecoin, which isn't really used. It's more of a joke. But there are cryptocurrencies. Those are the two big ones right now. And unfortunately, the scammers like to use those because, again, like using mobile payment apps, once you transfer cryptocurrency, it's extremely hard, if not impossible, to get that back. Wire transfers are another huge method that is used by scammers. The problem is that with wire transfers is, again, if you don't stop that wire transfer within, and it depends from financial institution to financial institution, but if you don't stop that wire transfer within the first hours to first day or two, again, depending on the institution, that money is gone. You're never going to see that money back. So that's, again, one of the reasons why the scammers like that, because it's almost impossible to get that money back. Direct withdrawal from your accounts. Rare, but it can happen where they have you log in and add someone as a payment for bill pay, and they just transfer your money using that bill pay into them. While rare, it does happen from time to time. But the big one, no legitimate business will ask you to pay them in gift cards from another business. No legitimate business will ask you to pay them in gift cards from another business. No governmental organization will ask you to pay them in gift cards. Again, as a government, they want you to pay that traffic ticket in cold hard cash. That's what they want. They don't want Google Play gift cards. They want money. So no government's going to ask you to pay a fine or anything like that in gift cards. Payment in gift cards is more than likely a scam. Am I clear? Hopefully I'm clear. If someone's asking you to pay in gift cards, I can almost guarantee that they're probably trying to scam you. Another red flag is they want to have remote access to your computer. This is a screenshot from TeamViewer. It's a very common program used by people to have remote access to people's computers. But be extremely, extremely, extremely cautious because they can do a lot of damage to your computer. They can put viruses on your computer. They can delete files. They can do a whole sorts of things. They can even password lock your physical laptop or computer with remote access. It's terrible what they can do. However, like I said, with some of these red flags, there are legitimate reasons. There are legitimate reasons to transfer money via Venmo and Cash App, just like there are legitimate reasons to use these remote login or these remote control features for computers. Like if you're having IT issues, it's a really powerful tool for an IT professional to have. However, be extremely cautious about giving that to access to people, especially if they randomly call you and say, hey, you've been hacked, we need access to your computer. You need to do something right now, immediately. Hey, we need to do this. Look, oh my God, your hard drive is safety delete starting in 5, whatever 5 is, 5 minutes, 5 seconds, 5 hours. Oh my God, scanning 17%. Oh my God, they're doing all this stuff, but just call this telephone number right here and we'll fix it. Many criminals use the element of surprise and pressure against their victims. Think about it. If someone wants to break into your car, your house, they're not going to call you 20 minutes before and say, hey, listen, I'm about to break into your house. You got 20 minutes, right? The reason being is they want that element of surprise. They want to, that way you're not prepared. They want to put pressure on you. They want you to think that something really bad is going to happen suddenly. So that way you have, you're less likely to question what they're saying and you're more likely to act. So that's a huge one. They need the pressure. They put the pressure on you. They want you to keep something secret. Again, that's a very common criminal tactic. Unfortunately, the evil monsters that prey on children for various crimes use this technique, and so do these evil monsters that prey on victims and the elderly. They don't want you to tell anyone, family, friends, and especially law enforcement, what's going on. The only reason why my aunt stopped working with those scammers that claimed to be the CIA was one day my cousin was over at my aunt's house. He was in the kitchen. She was in the living room. He overheard his aunt pick up her cell phone, and then tell the person on the other side, hey, I can't talk right now. My son's here. Hangs up. So obviously my cousin asked her, like, who the heck was that? And that's when she finally spills the beans about what she'd been working with these people for a month. And it transferred well over $20,000 to these people. But they told her, don't tell anyone, keep it a secret. You can't tell anyone. Again, the idea being that they don't want you to tell someone, so that way the person doesn't say, hey, that's a scam, you need to watch out for that. They claim to represent the government and they need your help. That's another big one. When I say we, law enforcement, is not going to contact you if you have never been a law enforcement officer to help us investigate a crime. That almost never happens because the liability that we would put on if we needed to put you into some sort of potential situation where you get injured, that's a huge amount of liability that most law enforcement, in fact, almost all law enforcement agencies are not willing to take. So if they claim to be the government and they need your help, that almost never happens. And that again with the CIA with my aunt. So let's talk about how to protect yourself. The biggest one, like I said, one of the reasons why I love giving this presentation is that the ways to protect yourself are pretty simple, and it's easy, and you will prevent the vast majority of scams like this. The biggest one is just don't answer any sort of telephone call, text message, email, knock on the door that you do not recognize. Make sure that your voicemail on your cell phone and on your home phone, if you still have one, is working. If someone really needs to contact you, they will leave a voicemail. I could tell you professionally, if I have to call someone and I claim I'm in my professional capacity, and they go, "You're full of crap," or they just don't answer, I don't take offense to it because I get it. Unfortunately, that's just the time we live in. Generally, I'll leave a message saying who I am and here's a good callback telephone number. All right, so just make sure that your voicemail is up and running. Assume that any unsolicited contact is a scam until proven otherwise. Just that's your base assumption. I don't recognize this phone number. This is a scammer trying to get me. If you only get a couple pieces of information, besides gift cards are a scam most of the time, the second one is independently verify their claims. What I mean by that is you look up the information. Do not trust the information that they give you. So for instance, if someone calls claiming that your computer has been hacked, or you get a pop-up, right? And they go, hey, your computer's been hacked. Do not call that telephone number that's on that pop-up. You independently verify their claims. If someone's saying, hey, I'm with Chase, and someone's using your account, if they call and claim that and go, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, hang up with them. Look on the back of your Chase card, because what most credit cards are going to have this phone number on the back. Call that phone number and tell them what you've been told and verify their claims. Do not trust information that they tell you. Ask a family member, trusted friend, or police if it's legitimate. I would much rather, as a police officer, spend 10, 15 minutes on the phone talking to you than spending hours on the phone investigating and taking a police report. And so always, if it's something that that you're not sure about, don't be afraid to ask. Rarely is there something that needs to be done immediately. Even if, let's say, someone calls and claims that it's your son, Johnny, I'm in Zimbabwe and I'm being held hostage, and I need you to transfer 30,000 Bitcoin to this crypto wallet in the next 30 minutes, or they're going to kill me. I don't know about you, but I think Bitcoin's sitting at about $60,000. So that's a bit. 30,000 Bitcoin is a large chunk of money. I don't have that, period, but I also don't have that just sitting around. And it's going to probably take you longer than 30 minutes to first get the Bitcoin and then transfer it. So again, they're using that pressure sales tactic to try and get you not to think about it and to do it. But don't be afraid if you, again, God forbid, you answer the phone and you talk to these people and they're claiming some sort of super exaggerated, like you need to do something right now. Take a step back and take a beat, because there's almost nothing in life, especially something like if someone's calling you, that you need to act immediately, that you can't take a minute and call a friend or family member or even the police just to verify what they're saying. Do not click on any links or emails from unsolicited contacts. Again, if they even claim to be from, if you're still working and they claim to be from your organization or your business, and they send you a link and it's from someone that normally doesn't send you links or attachments or so forth, you call them, independently verify why they're sending you the link, that they actually did it. And they meant to send you a link, because there are times where these people hack the email accounts and then send out links to everyone's contacts, just hoping that someone will click on it. Again, the importance of independently verifying the claims. And if you get a text message where it's just a link, even though curiosity might be eating you up to know what that is, do not click on it, because you could download inadvertently a virus, or it could take you to another scam website. So if you receive a pop-up or other random message on your computer, your phone, or tablet, my suggestion is the first thing you should do is turn off the device. Hard shut it down. Don't put it into sleep. Unplug it. Hold that power button for 10 to 30 seconds or longer, depending on the device. But hard shut down the electronic device. Wait 30 seconds, then turn it back on. More than likely, it will go away, because it's just a pop-up. It is just a pop-up message. And the pop-up message will go away. It's not an actual virus. However, if the problem persists and the pop-up does come up, you may have a real problem. And at that point, you contact your own IT professional. Don't call this phone number. And for my Mac users, you're not immune. They're coming after you too, not just us Windows users. But so this is an example of one for Macs that is a fake. It's a fake scam or a fake pop-up. But don't call this phone number here. Do not call it, because again, they're going to try and convince you that your computer's been hacked and you got to transfer money to them. But contact your own IT professional. And that's why it's very, very important. While this presentation isn't about good hygiene when it comes to the internet and when it comes to your information, as a reminder, just make sure that all your information is backed up. So just in case you do have to wipe your computer because what you did accidentally download a virus. So make sure that all your information is backed up, multiple different sources. Make sure that your software on your computers, cell phones, tablets, and all other electronics are up to date. Again, like I said at the beginning, this is a cat and mouse game. It's like whack-a-mole. We fix this one issue and another issue comes up. And that's always what those electronics companies are doing. They're always updating and always constantly looking for holes. And they're sending out updates on software to patch those holes. So always make sure that your computers and your cell phones are up to date. I would suggest periodically check your financial accounts, even if you haven't used it in years. If you signed up for a credit card years ago because you got a t-shirt or because you got some sort of other great deal, but then you haven't used it since then, I would consider either deactivating it or at least periodically checking up on that account. That's the same for your investment accounts, your credit cards, your credit reports. I would periodically pull your credit report to make sure that there aren't any suspicious activity there. And it also includes your taxes. If you're the victim of tax fraud, getting that PIN number will help prevent that as well through the IRS. I would monitor or deactivate any unused financial accounts, social media, or email. If you have a Facebook account or a Snapchat or TikTok or Twitter or whatever that you don't use, a common scam actually is scammers will go and they'll find Facebook pages that were active. Like let's say you opened up your Facebook in 2006 and you were a heavy user until 2018. And then for whatever reason, you moved on to TikTok. But you still have a Facebook account with 10 plus years of history on it. So it looks legitimate. They'll use that inactive Facebook account and to target people to pretend like they're an actual person to actually victimize other people. So to help prevent that, if you have a Facebook account, deactivate it. If you have credit cards, again, because you got it because they had a cool T-shirt that you wanted. I remember back in the day, that was a promo. You go to a sports stadium, right? You see them out there. You could sign up for a credit card. You get a Marlins T-shirt. So they don't really do that anymore. But deactivate those unused credit cards. Again, just reduces the chances, reduces the points of attack. Practice good information security habits. I suggest having a junk email account. I have an email account that I use for serious things, so medical, financial, and so forth. And then I have an email account that's not attached to any sort of financial or medical or any other important aspect of my life. That if I need to sign up to cooking.com and they need an email, I just give them that email account. I still periodically check it to make sure it's not hacked, and I still have a strong password on it, but I give them that junk email account. Do not give out your information if you don't have to. That's a big one. Do not click on any random links, and also strong, again, a reminder about that, and strong passwords. Using a password manager is handy because it can generate really strong passwords and it can help you remember those strong passwords. But using password 123 is not ever a good idea, even if it's for a website like cooking.com, like some silly website that they make you sign up for an account with. That is still making sure that even websites like that have strong passwords. Because if that website gets hacked, what the scammers will do is let's say they hack cooking.com as an example, and they get a bunch of these emails and passwords. Well, what they'll do is they'll take those combinations and plug them into Wells Fargo, plug them into Fidelity, plug them into Chase. And because they know that a lot of times there's a lot of people out there that use the same email and same password for everything. So key takeaways here, if you don't learn anything else other than this stuff, is the most important. Never answer any telephone calls, text messages, knocks on doors from someone you do not know. Never, ever do it. Never click on any links or emails without verifying their authenticity. That includes even from coworkers or family members. I would call them up, go through another means, and verify those links. Never give out personal information before verifying the receiver. Be very, 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 very wary of who you give your information to. No legitimate business will ask you to pay them in gift cards. No legitimate business will ask you to pay them in gift cards. Am I clear? Are we all clear? Great. You independently verify someone's claims. Okay, I can't harp on that enough. Like gift cards. Ask a family member, friend, or even law enforcement if you're unsure. So like I said, there are some times where maybe you were hacked, maybe something like, but I doubt it. But I could see a possibility where that could take place. Like your Chase account was compromised. It might be legitimate, but if you're not sure, ask a friend or family member or someone. Be wary of people asking you to keep secrets. That is a huge red flag. And finally, I like to leave on this, if you are a victim, do not wait to ask for help. It is not your fault if you are a victim of these scams. It is not your fault. Even if you're like, oh man, I can't believe I clicked on that link, even though Officer Holland said that I shouldn't have clicked on it, and now it is not your fault. The quicker that you report this to either law enforcement or to whoever, we would suggest you report to law enforcement, because the more information that we have, it could lead to actually solving these crimes. The quicker you are, the higher likelihood that we could solve it and figure out who did it, and or get your money back, which is usually the goal for most of these investigations. Our biggest goal is just trying to make you as whole as possible, get your money back. But the quicker that you notify us, the better. Ooh, close. We're almost done, so that's actually good timing there on the laptop. It's still my belief that with a little bit of knowledge, we can defeat these con artists. It doesn't take much, right? Don't answer, don't pay in gift cards, don't give out information, independently verified claims. That's it. And you can defeat these con artists. Thank you very much for your time. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to now.
All right, great. Thanks. I'm going to reclaim host here.
Yes.
Okay. Super. So thank you so much, man. A lot of information. Amazing. The funny thing is, so here, for clients that are on still, as you know, we always ask to authenticate if you're asking for money. Sometimes I know it's a pain, right? But it's in the safety of you and your accounts that we ask for that. So there was a question on here somebody had, which was they were using their iPhone and he was playing a game with the caller, trying to do something through PayPal, and they weren't able to do it. So they said, hey, do you have an iPad or do you have a computer you can go to? Are iPhones less susceptible to some of these scams?
So Apple products, as my understanding of it, are a little less susceptible. But the problem is that with the popularity of Apple products, they're figuring out ways they're like I said in that one slide. I remember when I first started learning about computers, 20, 30 years ago, when, in school, and then even throughout when I was in college, there was always the perception that, oh, Apple, you never had to have antivirus. You never had to worry about it because it's Apple. They take care of everything. My understanding, that's not necessarily the case. They still do, my understanding again is they still do a good job, but with protecting, but it's still not, there are still times where they're using Apple products and they've exploited some sort of security flaw within the Apple product. So yeah, no, unfortunately, iPhones I carry 2 iPhones with me, so I got my personal at work, but they are susceptible as are Android phones.
Okay, great. And one of the things that you mentioned about Facebook, about 3 years ago, somebody hijacked my Facebook.
Yep.
Because I really didn't use it. I used it for the family and stuff. And I went to it one day, and I remember my family came to me and said, "Hey, why'd you change your name to Jack Jack?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And yeah, so I don't know what they can get from it, but I tried to get it back and was not able to. So yeah, the Bitcoin piece is there anything else that folks might be able to do as if because like you said, the biggest thing is try to reclaim the loss. And that's to report it to authorities. Is there anything else they might be able to do?
So again, it's the timeliness of reporting that's key. Because it depends on the, like for instance, for wire transfers, it depends on the time. Sometimes that we can put a stop to that transfer, the stop needs to be put in within a matter of hours for that institution or days, and that's obviously a big difference. So the quicker, the higher likelihood that we can recover that money. One thing about gift cards, though, is that once that the reason why scammers love gift cards is they have 1 second here.
Now, I'm not quite sure if their computer, I know the battery is low, so I apologize for that. Let's see. So thank you for joining. You should be seeing a screen here with our contact information. If you have any questions, or if there's anything that you would like follow up on, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We will be sending out the link for the replay for this. And also, I was given the okay to go ahead and share this presentation as well. So we'll be doing that as well. Again, thank you for spending, I know we're 12 minutes over our time. Thank you for spending your lunchtime with us. I truly hope that you walk away with a nugget that can help you to say, this is a scam, gotcha, and they don't get you. Okay? Well, thank you. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry. The battery was about to die on the laptop.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, no, so the timeliness that's why it's really key.
Yeah.
As soon as you know you're the victim, just report it to us and we can get that ball rolling.
Fantastic. Officer Holland, thank
Yes.
you very much. And thanks again, everybody, for joining.